how's it going? Welcome back to EverCrest. My name is Brittany, and today we are going to be messing around with our Vertplanter here again. Now, in our last video, we planted up this peperonia right here, and I kind of showed you the process of how to wire on whole plants onto this Vertplanter. And it's a really fun process, and I ended up using wire for mine. You could also use rubber bands or whatever to kind of tie plants to this water planter. Just to give you a few highlights if you didn't see the other video, you basically put water in the inside of this container that is fully terracotta, and the water just begins to slowly leach out the sides of the container and water your plants. This is considered a hydroponic system because there is no soil, which is really cool. If you would like more details and to see how to set this system up, be sure to check out our other video, our unboxing and assembly video of this Vertplanter, where we put these peperonia on. Now today we are going to be trying a couple of different things on our Vertplanter, which I am super excited to try. If you did not notice, we actually uploaded 2 videos today. We did a shorter video where we unboxed these succulents that I ordered from Amazon, and I really wanted to do like a separate video for that because I wanted to kind of do a review of what it's like to order plants, live plants, especially succulents, from Amazon. So we did that video. It's a shorter video if you'd like to go see our review and see how these succulents came packaged and everything. Be sure to check that out as well. I will link both of those videos in the description below for you. And again, I have been battling with a cold, so please forgive me if I sound funny. I'm doing my best, just bear with me. So if you haven't seen our little update videos, we've done one on Instagram and we've also done one here on YouTube, just little shorts showing you how this planter is doing. This planter is doing quite well. I'm actually really impressed with it. I was a little bit concerned that these plants would start to dry out and suffer, especially on the outside roots. I figured the inside roots would probably be okay. But the outside is so exposed and there's really nothing around them to coat them and protect them. I was a little bit worried that they were going to shock and just absolutely shrivel up and die. That has not happened at all, and these are actually quite moist. The second thing that I began to worry about then was mold. Since this root ball was staying so moist, I was like, will this begin to grow mold? And at this point, it has not. It has been like a week and a day, so about 8 days since we planted this up, and there's no mold growing on it. It looks really good and healthy, and everything is doing really well. So I'm really happy with this Vertplanter so far. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting some seeds on it, and I have some chia seeds that I've been soaking for about an hour now, and they're really gooey and gross. If you've ever soaked chia seeds, they're kind of the weirdest thing. But we need to soak our seeds so that they will stick on the side of our planter, and they're actually going to stick inside these little holes that are on the side of the planter, which is just really cool. I'm excited to see how seeds do. And then I also took notice that the bottom half of the container tends to stay a lot more moist than the top half of the container. And I simply think that's because the water level up here is kind of fluctuating a little bit more. There's constantly water down here, but up here it dries out a little bit, you add more water, that sort of thing is taking place. So I thought it would be fun to try some succulents near the top and just wire them in. I thought it might be really pretty too. And then just to beautify things even more, I want to see how pretty we can make this Vertplanter. I got some sheet moss here. This is just regular old sheet moss. I picked it up from my local Walmart. I can find some on Amazon and link it if you'd like to see exactly what I used, but this is like the kind of thicker sheets of moss, as if you went out into the woods and just like picked a big old thing of moss up. So that's what I like to use in holiday arrangements and all kinds of stuff. So I grabbed a couple of packs of that. I thought it might be fun and might beautify this a little bit if we were to add moss over this section of the roots here. So I'm planning on wiring all of these things in except for the seeds. So I will be wiring on the succulents, the moss, and then the seeds are just going to be spread across the thing. So I think we'll go ahead and tackle the seeds first. Okay, so I brought you guys in a little bit closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So you can see here the planter has like these little holes in it. So essentially the seeds just kind of smush into those little holes and then will begin to sprout and grow. I think what I'm going to try to do is kind of get the seeds sort of in this bottom area, because like I said, this is more where I noticed the water being more consistent. And then we'll do our succulents along the top here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our soaked seeds, and this planter is already a little bit damp, but I'm going to go ahead and spray it with just a little bit more water with a spray bottle here, just to get it a little bit more wet. Make sure it's good and hydrated. And then we're going to just take our seeds with our hands and we're just gonna smush them in there. Okay, let's make a mess here. Now our wire might be in the way and a little bit of a mess here. We might be learning something here, but that's okay. We're either succeeding or we're learning, right? So, oh, we got some down on the bottom tray. We'll go ahead and clean that out here in a few minutes once we're done smooshing. So there we go. I just want to kind of do a little section here. I don't want to get too big of a section because I want to do some other things. But let's just fill this in. I want this planter to be pretty full. Let's go ahead and get some of that mess out of down there. Alright, I think I'm just going to turn it and do this whole sort of bottom section. So maybe the chia seeds will grow and cover this wire. That might be nice. It actually does that. I've seen people kind of turn the planter on its side to do this, which would be amazing if I didn't already put water in it because I already have plants in here. Okay, so there we go. I just took a few more minutes making sure that the seeds were really kind of in the holes and not really just like smeared all over the outside. And I also cleaned up the bottom where some had dropped and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is good. Obviously the wire being here kind of caused a little bit of some interference, but I think it's okay. There's a spot that's a little too gloppy still. You can kind of see where they're sticking out too much. You want to just push them down into those holes. I'll be interested to see that when these dry, and if they dry, which they shouldn't dry. I mean, technically that's the thing, right? They're supposed to stay wet so they can sprout. But if these get too dry, I can see them just falling off. So we'll have to just keep an eye on it and see how it goes. I had mentioned in the last video that if I noticed that the roots were getting a little too dry on the outside of the plant, that I would just mist them with a little bit of water. And I would say that the same thing would work for these seeds, as long as your mist is on a very fine mist and not like a straight stream. That might cause them to fall off, but if you notice them looking kind of dry, first make sure there's water all the way up to the top of your container, and then you could just very lightly mist them potentially. The house that we live in has a wood burner for heat, and so the air can be kind of dry. So that's something that I worry about with my plants, is them just drying out. So if your house tends to have really dry air, especially in the winter time like it is right now, that is just something to consider and think about. But now I'm going to go ahead and grab my wire because it's time to wire on these succulents, which I'm excited about. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go. I've kind of thought a couple of different ways about how I could do this. I think what I need to do is knock most of the soil off of these, and then I was thinking about either pushing the roots along the edge and wrapping them like I did with the peperomia, or wrapping a piece of wire around the base of the plant, sort of around the root ball of the plant this way, and then wrapping. So we're going to have to just see how this goes, see how much root system these little succulents have, and I'll let you know what works best. Okay, we're going to begin here by knocking most of the soil off of these succulents. And this soil is so dry. So we'll see how much we can get off here. I don't want to mess up the root system too bad, but succulents are really pretty awesome about root systems. They can grow them basically out of nothing. If you even just cut this whole thing off and then set it on your container, it would eventually start to root in. So there we go. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So this is really not much to stick to the side of the container and wire on. So I think I'm going to wrap wire around this root system here and then attach it to our planter. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these cleaned up. I'm going to remove any little leaves that aren't looking the best, get them all pretty. Look at that one. Isn't that beautiful? And get them ready to put on our planter. Okay, so now that these are all cleaned up, they are looking really good, and I got actually 3 little individual ones from this one. I think this one might actually be my favorite. I don't know, I just love the look of this little thing. That, and of course the echeveria or whatever these are exactly. I'm not very good with succulents, so don't quote me on that, but that kind of is what it looks like. So those are some of my favorites, but I think what we're going to do is, I just put my hand in the seeds. Of course I did. Ugh, geez Louise. Okay, we're going to take our piece of wire here, and we are just going to wrap it around the base of this succulent really tight. And I might even just stab it through here, the center a little bit, and then go around. Trying to be super delicate and wrap really tight at the same time. Okay, so there, I got the wire secured to our succulent here, and now we're just going to kind of position it wherever we would like it on our container, and then we're going to wrap our wire around the container to secure it. Okay, so that proved to be quite finicky actually. It took me a few minutes to figure out how to get this succulent to stay kind of upright. It kept wanting to fall over like this and kind of hang down, and I wanted it to be a little bit more up and stay where I want it to stay. What I ended up having to do was remove some of these lower leaves around the outside of the plant so that I could get a little bit of a stem, because these roots are a little too wiggly. They don't hold anything up. Once I was able to get a little bit of a stem in there, I was then able to wrap the wire around that and then around the container, and that held it exactly where I wanted it. I feel like this project is really quite fiddly too, because I have these wet seeds here. I have these plants that I already planted on the other side hanging out. So I'm like trying to go around all of these things. I cut this one with a thing already with one of the wires. I keep knocking into my seeds. So yeah, I'm working with some difficulties here, but I think it's going to be good. Not loving some parts of it. It's kind of difficult to manipulate them exactly how you want them to go. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to leave them like this for now. I think this is kind of the best that I'm going to get for today. They're still beautiful. They're just kind of like not pointing exactly the way I'd like them to, like this one. And things like that, but I think we're just going to leave them on here. I think they're pretty well secure. I'm not afraid of them falling off, and we're just going to see how they do. So next we're going to start by adding a little bit of moss. So I don't think I want to do a ton here. I just want to do a little bit just to kind of cover some of this. I think it would look pretty. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to take our wire here. Our wire is green, so it's going to blend in with our moss. And we're going to try to just wrap the wire around the moss and just hold it on. So we're just going to take a piece of moss here, and I kind of just set it in here. and wrap it around. Okay, we're kind of at the point of this project where I feel like we kind of just made a giant mess. And I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. So we have our main peperomia here. We have our moss down here that we kind of just covered a little bit. And then we have our succulents on this side, which I tucked some moss in around our succulents just to cover the roots. I think this side is really pretty, actually. I don't know if succulents will survive on the Vertplanter. That is what we're kind of like trying to decide here with this experiment. I think an entire Vertplanter, if they survive on a Vertplanter, planted up with succulents and some moss in between would be absolutely beautiful. But keep in mind down here, this is going to be fresh chia growing. So this is going to be fresh sprouts, really bright green as well, covering all this wire down here. So I think once this fills in down here, it won't look so funny. I might add little touches of moss, like maybe here and maybe like over here. I like being able to see the Vertplanter through it a little bit, like up here you can see it, but I think maybe like some of these other sections need a little more moss, just so that it's not so moss heavy here on this bottom part. But that's kind of the experiment that we got going on here. I am trying a whole bunch of different things on my Vertplanter. I don't know if most people do this or not. I don't know if people just usually do one thing over it, just seeds or just regular houseplant or whatever. But I kind of wanted to try all the things so that I could let you know like what really works and what struggled and what you can grow on them. So we're just doing a little bit of everything, and I hope it ends up turning out pretty. I really love this section over here. This is really beautiful. After we got the moss on it, I think it's pretty. Okay, so anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I will try to answer them. Also, if you missed the original unboxing Vertplanter video that we did, I will link it down below, and I will also link the Vertplanter if you guys are interested in purchasing one of these planters. Let me think. If you use code EverCrest, you get 12% off your purchase of your first Vertplanter. So be sure to check out the description, and we'll see you guys in the next video.